Hi, everybody, and welcome. Today we are joined by none other than the owner of Major League Pickleball's Dallas Flash, Mark Molthan. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you're a Dallas local, which is awesome. We're holding MLP Dallas just this coming weekend. You're also a seasoned entrepreneur, renowned for luxury home design and large-scale building projects. In 2023, you teamed up with Todd Wagner and Mark Cuban to co-found your MLP team, the Dallas Flash. You brought a lot of vision, a lot of resources to MLP in the world that we're currently creating all together out here. We're going to cover draft insights from you, the push to the playoffs, how you balance business with sports ownership, and exactly what it takes to launch a multi-million-dollar pickleball team into the sporting world with energy and results. Let's dive in right now. The Dallas Flash have been so dominant. You won the MLP championship last year and the MLP midseason just a few weeks ago. You have an awesome team. Your 4 starters are Jorja Johnson, Jorja Johnson, Tyra Black, and Augie Ge. Walk us through the process. How did you go about drafting your team?
That was the first draft. I think the way that they did it, it was similar like a fantasy draft. There was a point basis. There was 1 million points. You were able to bid on a player, and you were able to base it out, and you had 1 million points to spend. No more, no less. Well, you could spend less, which we actually did. And so we were able to run together, and we've done fantasy football for the years. So we said the only thing I needed to do is make sure I was prepared. So let's have mock drafts. So I had 12 buddies. We ended up, it was like 12 buddies, we all got, and we assigned a team to each one of them. We all got in the room and we did mock drafts, and we sort of saw the way that it laid out, like the tendencies of people and how to draft. So we sort of simulated what would be in that environment. After that, Ed Chow, who was our general manager last year, he was a statistics guy. He owns a statistics company, and he wrote a software to track the draft based upon the first bid. So we moneyballed it. So based upon the first, we knew we weren't going to pick in the first 6 bids. So then we knew that the tendency of what it was, and we watched the tendency, and then we waited for JW. It was down to JW and maybe it was Federico. I think those 2 were there, and we thought we made a mistake and didn't bid, and the formula was telling us not to bid. My gut was telling me to bid, and I went with the formula, not my gut, and we ended up getting JW at 12. And so that allowed us to have enough money to go back and go immediately and get Jorja, Tyra. And Tyra was up-and-coming star and had some questions, like wasn't sure. We didn't realize, we knew her ceiling would be where it is today. We knew we could get it there. She wasn't there, so we went back and got Jorja, Tyra. And then we waited, and actually who influenced me a lot about, or put me on Augie, was Ben. I'd called and interviewed Ben saying, hey, look, would you play for us? And we talked back and forth, and I'm like, about looking about how it looks, the amount of money we're going to spend on you, we're going to be looking at these picks. And he said, hey, I like this guy named Augie Ge. And then as we drafted, we had Julie, JW, Jorja, and Tyra on the phone. And Tyra had just played with Augie and had good success. And they didn't know that I had Augie in the back of my mind. And we're on conference call, and they say, Augie, let's look at Augie. And so I knew from the other people telling me that it was that it had to be. And so we drafted Augie. And then from there, it was put them together and see if we could play.
Right, team chemistry is a whole other thing. Yeah. But yeah, Augie, I remember back then he was just coming onto the scene, and he was a lefty, which is obviously a huge advantage as well. And yeah, Tyra hadn't even come into her own yet either, but people knew she was going to be good back at that point.
And she was a strong left side player, so we knew we had a good setup with J-Dub and Jorja, and then putting Tyra and Augie together. And Tyra was such a strong left side female, and Augie is a lefty playing such strong right side. We thought we had a recipe for something great.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm laughing about thinking of you with your 11 buddies drafting. Yeah. These guys like pickleball. When you called them up and were like, hey, will you mock draft with me, my pickleball team? Were they like, what's pickleball?
To be honest with you, the 11 of them were pickleball players, and they knew enough to be dangerous.
Okay.
But really, it was just really to see the trends, right? Yeah. But the one that kept winning was the guy that didn't know pickleball very much. And he's a quiet guy in the corner, and at the end we would give grades to each draft. So we did 12 of them, so it was And that guy whipped us. Or I felt we were getting whipped, or he was very, very, and he was the one that wrote the software to help us with the draft. And so, I mean, he was the smart, analytical one, and he was amazing. And without with him, I think I probably would have made 3 or 4 mistakes.
Yeah.
So it was great. I was super lucky to have a group like that.
Wow, that computers are going to run the world.
You're right.
You also acquired recently Roscoe Bellamy and Sam Parker, which, I mean, they're great players. Why spend on 2 great players when you already have 4 fantastic starters?
Well, let's go back to Columbus. I mean, we were playing. Let's go back to St. Louis. We were playing Columbus. Tyra runs into the wall. I thought she broke her leg. I mean, it was pretty rough, and we didn't bring any of our other subs, and it made us think. We could be. There's not another window to go, get a bench together to make it run.
True.
And we want to make a run to the end. And so it's a great insurance policy for us to have. Yvonne is a phenomenal player. Tatiana is a great player. But it was good for us to make that move. And Yvonne, I think, will end up starting in Dallas. He's from Dallas, so he'll end up playing for Carolina, which is great for Yvonne. I mean, he is a phenomenal player, needs to get some looks. And it worked for him, and it works for Roscoe to help us. So that was very, very good mutual move.
Sure.
And then Samantha's a Dallas girl, and she plays at Pickler Universe, and it's great for her to have her on our team. And so I'm again lucky that we're able to do this, and it just everything aligned and it worked out. And we've got Samantha, who's here local and a phenomenal player, and we got Roscoe, that's a strong right side or left side player. Mm-hmm. Yvonne was a lefty, and so now if I have an injury on either side, I could next man up and we can keep going.
Yeah, well, you've clearly given us a lot of thought, and you mentioned making that run to the playoffs. Does it worry you that the biggest recent MLP news involved a megastar trade, Ben Johns going to the LA Mad Drops? Does that change anything for you?
There's not a rule against it, and there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think everybody's saying it's wrong or collusion, all that. There's none of that. No, I don't. I know that there's none of that. We have a great team, and we got to focus on, SoCal tomorrow, and then we'll focus on them on Sunday, and so. I think it's good for the league. I really do. I think Ben on LA is a great. I'll use a basketball analogy. I was a huge Mavericks fan. It was Dirk, Jason Kidd, Jason Terry, and Mavericks had a really good team. And then LeBron says, "I'm going to take my talents to Miami." And he went down with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and they had the super team. And everybody was all upset, the whole press. I'm just glad Ben didn't hold a press conference and say, "I'm going to take my talents to LA." But that would actually have been funny.
That would have been great.
Yeah, so
we should have done that.
If everybody was upset, and the Mavs went to Miami and ended up winning the championship in Miami. And so,
awesome.
And everybody was talking about LA. Everybody's talking about Miami at the time. Everybody was talking about LA. That lets us keep flying the way we're flying. We're a good team. I mean, those kids are playing great right now, and our ceiling's only higher.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the trade makes him sort of like the newest toy, the latest and greatest toy, so everyone's talking about it. But I mean, that's absolutely true. There's so many good teams out there. Yours, one of the best, and leading the pack right now.
And I think it's good for the league too. I mean,
it is, yeah.
When you look at it, it's good for the league. It makes it. Ben was, because of that draft, the way that the points worked. Ben was swimming upstream on getting partners, and if you see how it's been working, the girls are so important in MLP.
Oh, yeah.
The female players are critical. You have to get a win in gender, or you're swimming upstream, and then you've got to have a good, strong female to fight off in mixed, and that's if. And there's I think there's a half-point difference in a lot of the men. It depends on net cord or whatever it is, but there's half-point difference. But for girls, you've got to have some strong females to play, and now he's loaded up.
Absolutely, yeah, it'll be fun to see what he can do. I know people were talking about. Well, a lot of people buy tickets to watch Ben play, and if he's not in the playoffs, then one additional sort of attention grabber disappears. And if we all love the sport the way that we say we do, and we all want it to grow, then why would you not want all your stars represented in the final rounds?
I'm gonna go back to that same analogy. The Mavericks played Miami in the finals. I think it was better that the Mavericks beat LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh in the finals than beating a team that no one will remember.
Yeah.
And I'm still talking about it, and this has been 18 years ago, whatever it was, 10 years ago.
Yeah, clearly worked.
So I mean, look, I mean, put him in the finals. I'd love to see him there.
Nice. Put them in the finals. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick pause. We have a little surprise for you.
Oh, gosh.
You're going to love this. Benji Bot was not involved, but we got you the other two things.
Okay. Oh.
Let's see what we got here.
Okay.
We've got, so the condition of Mark joining me for an interview here today was that we get him Haribo gummy bears sorted by color, which we have.
Yeah, my contract is sort of very has high demand. So I said we needed gummy bears, and they had to be sorted or I'm not coming.
That's right.
And I only drink essential water. But we have a problem. I said it had to be 39 degrees, and this is room temperature. So I think this interview's over.
God. Sorry, guys. We got as much info as we could.
That's so funny. That was actually a joke. And,
I know.
And now we go to...
we had to do it.
But I definitely like the red ones.
Yeah. There we go. We'll let you have that later.
Thank you. Great. That's
Thanks,
funny.
guys. Our team's phenomenal.
That's awesome.
All right. And I want to go back to... So obviously there's a lot of mystery that surrounds Tom Dundon, a UPA owner, and he owns the Carolina Hawks as well. How did you and Tom Dundon end up connecting initially, and what inspired you to dive into the MLP world? Was it through Tom?
Actually, Tom and I met, we went to high school together. I was born and raised in Dallas. Tom was from Philly. He came to, and then I grew up in Plano, which is not far from where the venue is. Tom went to Plano as well. His mom moved there, and he played tennis. I played football. We crossed paths a little bit in high school. My high school girlfriend was best friends with his girlfriend, so we crossed paths that way. Then we both ended up at SMU. He's a year older than me. And my freshman year, he rushed me into the fraternity that we were in. And the fraternity had if you can imagine this, the fraternity was really super competitive. We were at SMU when they were on the death penalty, so there was no sports in football or anything like that. So intramurals was sort of like the competition in the school. So the strongest fraternity, dominated intramurals, and Tom was very involved in it. And I ended up getting rushed by him. We ended up winning the intramural championship 4 years in a row at SMU. It was pretty fun. And he orchestrated it all, the whole thing. He did a really good job. And then he was my big brother in the fraternity. We graduated and stayed close ever since. And he's a very, very good friend of mine. So
Awesome.
That's how so with all that, I hear about all these deals, and he was talking about we played pickleball in Cabo. So playing pickleball in Cabo was a blast, but there really wasn't pickleball in Dallas unless you went to Churchill Park. You stacked your paddles, and it was pretty. It was a cool event. So I'd go there and play, and then Tom's like, I think I'm going to do this PPA deal. And I was like, I love it. I mean, because that was the time that if you wanted to go get good competition, you'd travel to go to PPA to go play good people, and I was like, I think it's awesome. And then MLP came about, and the Vibe deal started. And he said, there's going to be a Dallas team. And I said, man, I really want to be involved with it. I'd love to be involved with it. He said, well, Cuban's going to be part of it. And then the merger happened, and somehow I ended up coming out and being a part of the Dallas Pickleball Club. And then we rebranded it to Dallas Flash.
That's right.
And so
I forgot about that.
Yeah, DPC.
Yeah, that's right, with the old Western style look that you had.
Well, I didn't have anything to do with that.
Okay.
I was.
It was not his fault.
that was three very strong personalities in the room, and I just sat there and listened for a little bit. So.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
They don't get to where they're at without knowing how to lead.
Absolutely.
But you put three of them in a room, and.
Yeah, so it was great. I mean, DPC was great. I learned a lot in that, and then we had James, Elise, Callie, and Jay DeVilliers, and it was great people. and that was the last team under DPC, and then it all sort of then went switched over, and then we went to Dallas Flash.
So Dallas Flash, where does that name come from, and were you involved in that branding?
So I was. When I was a kid, I watched the movie Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah.
Like 7 million times. It's like in the VHS, and I broke the VHS watching Flash Gordon. So I had the nickname Flash, and everybody thought it was because I could run fast, but no, it's just because I liked the movie. And I was a towhead. I had like really blonde hair, and Flash Gordon had blonde hair, and so my dad called me Flash just because it was almost like making fun of me a little bit. But and then I just have always liked the name, and so that's how it's sort of the basis of it.
It works great. I love it. It's one of the best, I think, brands and logos and names in MLP.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a Let's Go Flash is pretty good.
It's got a ring to it.
Yeah,
for sure.
and then Flash on 3 is pretty good too. So
Yes.
that's our go-to.
From your perspective, what does MLP need to do to make it into mainstream sports culture? You obviously referenced basketball earlier.
Man, you look at WNBA and how WNBA is doing so well right now, and it's it's two demographics. It's predominantly female based, and it's pretty much culturally crosses all lines. I think that pickleball has such a broader span because you and I can go play pickleball and have a great time. I'm terrible, you're great, you know? And
I don't know about that.
I mean, but we would still have fun, right? And we can go play with people, and then there's ages. So from the youth to the older you could play. Demographic-wise, it crosses all cultures and everybody, and it's such a sport that brings everybody together. And then the culture of it has been so inclusive.
Yeah.
It's the first inclusive sport that I've seen that's been amazing, that not everybody's yelling at it. Like, if you're a girl, if you're a boy, if you're, whatever, you're tall, short. If I go play basketball, I can't guard the 7-foot guy, but I can play pickleball with him.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the sky's the limit. On the sport, as long as, just keep it fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to it needs to be entertaining. That's why it's so cool right now. It's entertaining. And take the drama out and just go play, you know?
Oh,
I think
100%.
that's what's so great about it, you know?
Yeah, somebody remarked to me recently about like all the major investment we've been seeing in sports generally, and they were saying that with the rise of AI and AI taking over jobs, which everyone, is obviously something everyone talks about, sports is one of the things that people think will endure because nobody wants to watch robots play football. They want to watch humans, blood, sweat, tears out there. They want to see them break down, cry, fail, succeed, pressure. Yeah. Pressure makes diamonds, and you can only replicate that with human beings. And so you're seeing like all these, entrepreneurs and investments made into the sports world, and I think pickleball is sort of riding that wave.
Absolutely. So when you watch pickleball, when it's 9-9, you can feel it.
You can feel it. I'll get shaky with intense moments.
And I'm eating that towel. I can't. I got to cover my mouth because I don't want to say the wrong thing on camera.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to put my hands. It's like the worst, right? And so, I think it's harder to watch than it is to play.
Honestly, yeah. As somebody who has had to sit on the sidelines for many years and watching the boys, it's like, sometimes
it's awful.
Yeah, it really is.
But you go back and I
you
can't wait
it.
to the next one,
It's
right?
a drug.
But man, I'm dang near eat that towel. I probably, and I think Tyra was like, what? I've been meaning to ask you, what's the towel? I was like, that's from, I don't bite my finger off, or chew my fingernails off. Like, you guys made me so nervous.
This is the better, safer option.
Yeah. I think the sport, the future of it is we haven't even left the launch pad. There's so many great things about it that just it unifies everybody, and as we can grow it and see, and more people can play it, it's only gonna get bigger and better. What I do, I'm seeing more kids come out and play more too.
Yeah,
it's fun. The kids playing has been awesome to watch, and then their passion. It's really been fun to see it. I really want to push a movement to get more kids playing from all socioeconomic classes. So, I mean, that's my big push for next year. I think you'll see an announcement from us doing something pretty cool with that. So.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I think you mentioned to me earlier that you're going to bring out some juniors on center court during Dallas MLP this week, right?
Yeah, so we, sort of the page out of Cuban's playbook, it's about entertaining, about building the passion for the fans, and it's an investment, and I think the more kids we can really get into it, they'll tell their friends, and then they'll tell their friends, and they'll tell their friends. So we have a youth clinic before our game on Thursday, and then part of the youth clinic is they get to come out, and we're going to do the high five tent. So like they'll line up, and a little bit like soccer. I don't know if you've seen like FIFA where the kids walk out with the players. We're not going to do that. We're going to have them. It's going to be like a high five line, and then they'll be part of our pregame ritual. It'd be fun.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh,
that'd be a cool
that.
experience. I mean, for all of them, right?
If I was a kid, I'd love to do
So
that.
yeah.
Yeah. I want to pivot real quick, and I want to talk about you a little more personally. Tell me about your day job and the business skills and trends that you bring to the MLP landscape.
They're different. I mean, they're really different.
Definitely different.
I went to SMU, graduated. I had a job at the building next door. It was the Texas Commerce Building, the one with the hole in it. And I came in one day, and this was before email, and there was it said, they put these deals, it said memo, and it would say to, then it was like, that was the email, but they'd go hand them out, and they put them on the desk. It said, if you do not have your undergraduate, if you don't have your master's, you're laid off. And so,
No way.
and I just was like 2 weeks from getting my undergraduate. And then, so I go to my boss, I'm like, hey, what's this mean? He's like, that's you, idiot. You're gone. I know we gave you a job 2 weeks ago, but they rescinded it. So I was like, whoa, I don't have a job, and that's sort of pretty. Leaving college, having a job locked up was a really good feeling, and then losing it, and I said, I think I'm gonna go be a pro skier.
Really?
And so I went to Colorado with my girlfriend, who's Heather, and we were there, and I was gonna try to be a pro skier. I wasn't gonna be a ski bum. I wanted to be a pro skier, and from Dallas, Texas, and where that's flatter than this table, that no one would even give me a shot. So I left there with my tail between my legs, and I called my best friend from high school. He had dad had a home building company. He said, come see me, and they were building a house, and I drove up, and he said, can you see yourself doing this? And I'd be like, man, I would love it. So I was 21 at the time. I was president at 27, a division president at 27, and had grown really fast with the company, and we grew it to 1,000 homes and sold it to a major company. And when they sold it, I left that day and started my own business. So I started a home building company in 1999, and with a little bit of an investment, we grew it, and it's been a great run since. So it's pretty much like growing anything or starting anything. You sort of got to be responsive, take care of business, and do it the right way, or do the right thing. I guess if it's fair for you, it's fair for me. We should do it. So, and that's sort of been the model I've worked on. And I've always had the weird. Everybody's weird, but I've got weird. Like if I could try to make someone's day better, that makes my day. And so, and sometimes it pays back. And so, it's helped, and we've been lucky. And I've tried to make, I guess, 11 guys better, and they showed up, and we had a mock draft, and I got lucky.
There you
and got a great team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's sort of how business has been for me, and I just try to do the right thing. And sometimes we mess up, and sometimes we make mistakes, and I try to correct them, and I apologize, and keep going forward. So, no one's perfect, and I appreciate it, but I really, really do love home building. I love the design part of it. I love the interaction with getting to know the clients, and I love really putting it all together and then making it happen and then delivering a product. So I've been doing it so long, there's things that I drive by, like I did that right there, and they're like, no way. Like, yeah, it's like, but yeah, it's just
a cool feeling.
It's cool that you actually can see your work, and some people do their work and they never get to see it again.
That's true.
So
you leave a very tangible footprint out there.
Yeah, so it's actually something that's there. And what's funny is I've been doing it so long, some people are tearing down what we did already. And
no way.
Yeah, like that's just sort of Dallas way. I mean,
yeah.
Like they'll
Birth and
remodel
rebirth.
it. I didn't realize I was that old though. It's like I still see myself as a good pickleball player too, and I'm awful. But you know, it's
you got to believe though.
Yeah,
so.
right. It's that.
You'll never make it if you don't believe.
Someday.
Well, so pivoting from business, I know a lot of the things that you said, the moral sort of precepts and the way that you approach things, it works in the sports world really well, not just business. And as an involved owner, as I know you are, what's your role look like day to day with the team?
You know, Julie Johnson is the mother of Jorja and JW.
Mm-hmm.
That she has been a huge help. I mean, huge help.
Having a team mom, yeah.
Yeah, a team mom. So I try to put together just the business aspect of everything and handle that. You know, my daughter's been a big help, helping with the marketing and doing all that, and the brand and all that. I just try to keep the train on the rails, you know. And I'm involved with the players some. I try not to tell them anything about pickleball. I keep my pickleball opinions to myself because
a few people could take a note out of your book.
Yeah, I like listening though, and like learning what their thought process is. But Julie does a really great job with all the pickleball, and then I run pretty much all the operations, so business side of it, making sure everything gets going. And I got a great team. I mean, I got a great team of people that help. So I just try not to mess it up, you know, or do something silly, or I mean, really, I'm probably the biggest problem in the company.
Oh God, so, I doubt that.
Some crazy idea I'll come up with, or you know, and then I come up with it like an hour before we need it, and then I try to execute it, and then it makes everybody's life tough. But
I like it though. We like ideas, guys. You know, not everything's going to work, but some of them will really well. So. Well, I was just writing an article about MLP, and I was writing that y'all were undefeated, and then you went on that hour to lose your first match. So I feel like I jinxed you guys, but you took your first 2 losses at the last event. What was that like for the team? How did the team handle their first losses emotionally? You know,
we honestly, we take it match by match, game by game. Look, and that taste isn't a very good taste. And we had a really good run from the playoffs last year all the way until last week, and we hadn't had that taste. I'm not saying it's good to lose. Sometimes you need to taste it to realize how great it is to win. And I think we got it again. I think I'd much rather have lost at a regular season event in St. Louis at noon than lose in the playoffs and be eliminated, because that taste is going to be bad. Yeah,
it's going to be a lot worse.
I don't know what it's like to have that taste, but I could tell you I didn't like the one in St. Louis, and I for sure didn't like the taste of the loss we took to St. Louis. That taste was a tough one to swallow, and I think the whole team took it that way too. That beating we took in St. Louis really got us refocused. So I'm excited about this week. I'm really excited about this week because I think we have gotten dialed in again. So
I love it. And when y'all are in competition and traveling together, who's the natural leader for the team? You know, who takes on sort of the captain's reins when things are tough?
You know what's really cool, and I think part of our success is they all have roles that they developed. They weren't forced. And we've been lucky because at the end of last year, we had the 4 players, and then we had to release a player to waivers, and then we had to go back in the draft, and then I went back and drafted the same player back. Yeah. So we're running a season of two the same players for 2 years in a row, which is uncommon for MLP. And so I think we've had good success in our chemistry, and so has St. Louis had good success with that because those roles develop. And so I would say Augie is sort of the one that handles the logistics and making sure that we got practice scheduled. Nice. Julie coordinates it all. Augie herds the cats. It's like sort of gets all the person in, and then Tyra's the quiet but impactful one. When she says something, it has a lot. I mean, it's a deep thought. It's like when she speaks, everybody's like, oh, and then you hear it. It's like, oh, well, okay, I get it. Yeah, that's that, and very. She's an incredible student of the game. I mean, she's very. I mean, she has a lot of great things. I guess from her tennis career and as she gone, so she has a voice. JW is a savant. JW is at his level of thinking on pickleball is he's very quiet outside, but when you're inside, if you're in his inner circle, he's hilarious. He is.
He is so funny.
He is funny. I mean, he's
I
like.
love him.
But his pickleball, his thought process on pickleball is really, really like, it's so far advanced for me when he says it. He says it so it takes me a while to process what he's saying, and it's really good. And then Jorja is way beyond her years. She is. I mean,
truly.
I mean, part of the problem is she's so beyond her years. She's still 18. You know? But
it's hard to remember that.
Hard to remember that. I mean, she's 18. She's a young woman, and she's her thought process and how she thinks about pickleball and is amazing, and how she thinks about life, you know. And then she'll say something like, "Oh yeah, she's 18," right?
Yeah, it reminds you.
And so, and the respect they have for each other is awesome.
Yes.
And look, Tyra runs into the wall, hurts her ankle. I don't think that. I mean, I bet a lot of players wouldn't get up and come back. And she came back in there because I think she did it for the team. I mean, I really, truly, because I mean, if she doesn't come back in, she's out for the rest of the tournament because of the way that the rules are. And I'm telling her, look, you know, you don't have to do this. It's okay. You know, let's tap the brakes. You know, we got a whole nother event, and we got the playoffs. So let's make the race. She's like, I got it. I'm like, I understand that. I know what you want to do it for, and then she went in there and she got 3 points off of Leia.
That was incredible.
Which is Leia's amazing.
Singles.
Like singles. Leia's
Tyra doesn't even play singles.
Doesn't even play, and Leia's an amazing single player.
Yeah.
And I guess it probably was hard on Leia to
play somebody she knew was injured. That's
yeah,
all. It gets
it's
in your head.
Like it definitely throws the vibe off a little bit, but still, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, that's what it is, and I think that's what the team aspect of it does. I mean, and they play for each other. I mean, they're truly upset for each other, upset at themselves if they let the other one down. Yeah. Where if I go and play, I'm like, you know, I'm not that upset.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
that's a rock solid team for sure.
It's good. Yeah, and I think that's probably why we've had success is they play more for each other than.
Yeah, you can't.
The greater of the good. Is
the greater of the good.
Right?
Yeah, the greater good for sure. It's you can't overestimate how important team chemistry is in this sport. Yeah. When you think about the Dallas Flash, do you have a brand or a car that you hypothetically would associate with that?
A brand of car.
Or a brand out there, any brand or a car.
You know, Dallas is such a strong sports community. You know, you have the Cowboys, you have the Mavericks, you have the Stars, you have the Rangers, and they have such a strong brand. I probably would brand more towards the Cowboys, but I don't necessarily agree with like Jerry Jones and that type of mentality. I'm not that guy by any means, but I do like their brand. I do like how the Mavericks believed in a fan experience and having fun and almost having like a relationship with the players, you know, and having that. And I think that's cool too. Look, the community is important to us, and the community is important to the sport. There's so many people that play and enjoy it, and we got to remember that they give us the opportunity to do this, right? And so, I mean, I want to make sure it's fun for everybody. I want from grandma to be able to take their grandkids and go and enjoy a sport and have a great competition and remember it. So
absolutely,
I think that's where I would link more to, because those are the guys I would reach for. You know, like if someday we can get there, we did something, right?
100%. Yeah. And speaking of which, it's MLP Dallas this weekend, so you have the chance to be the hometown favorites here and welcome all the other teams to Dallas to play. How excited are you to be hometown hosts, and what's that going to look like this week?
Well, there's multiple parts to that question for me. One, coming from St. Louis, coming from some of these events that had a home, the team was there, it makes a huge difference.
It does.
It did. I think it was a huge difference for us. I mean, we almost lost. It was 25-26 in the playoffs in the men's match in the hometown, that the fans, and we ended up winning. I'm sorry, it was 24-25, and we stopped and then got the ball back and ended up getting points and winning 27-25 against New York Hustlers. I believe that's the numbers right. And that was an amazing game,
in
right?
New York, right?
No, that was in Dallas.
In Dallas, okay.
And that was a huge win, but it was all based upon the fans' momentum. And they were, I mean, they were all chanting Augie, Augie, and it was like, the environment was great. And so going to St. Louis, the environment was so hostile. When we got in the car, we were driving back to the Airbnb, and I said, how much did the fans matter? And there wasn't not even a thought. Augie's a lot, immediately, a lot. And it was, I mean, it was that environment of being in an away environment matters for the energy and for everything. And so I hope the flash mob shows up. I got hope that they're going to come. We're giving shirts out to everybody that we want to blue out. We're taking that college mentality, like doing the blue out and doing some of that in the playbook, and that'd be fun. And it matters. Home court matters. It really does.
Well, that's the reason why all the sports have it. That's used again and again.
So again, this is another topic been a topic. I think indoor pickleball is the future. I know some people, I'm not going to say, don't like indoor pickleball.
Could this be Ben?
Maybe. So
I can call him out.
Yeah. So he. But I think the future is, number one, it's 100 degrees this week here, and this is indoor. And it may rain. It's indoor. There's no problem on scheduling. No, it can run on time. We don't have to worry about weather. We don't have to worry about wind. Like the event in Dallas, the wind was blowing, 40 miles an hour, and the ball could barely get over the net, and it changed the game. And so, it definitely affected the game. Anna Lee got knocked out in quarters, I believe. And I'm not saying it was because of the wind or not, but everybody has to play in the same conditions on both sides. But it definitely has a factor, And so the team that wins shouldn't have any other factor other than they got beat, the better
performance.
Performance.
But isolate the other factors, for sure.
So this facility is top notch. I can't wait for you to see it. It's from the experience, it has the Platinum Suite, which goes back to like the Cowboys mentality, where you have a really nice luxury box. The food, a culinary experience where it's not hot dogs and cheap cheesy nachos. It's actually like an experience that you'll remember the food. To having 24 indoor courts for the amateur part. So you have the amateur event going on indoor, and you have this incredible state-of-the-art stadium with the best lighting that an indoor facility has had that I've been to. So even Benji can't complain about the lights. I hope he doesn't. I mean, literally, there's been a lot of thought put into lighting, because I agree with him. You go to a lot of places where the lighting's bad, it's hard to play. It shouldn't be a factor, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can neutralize that where it's not an issue, it makes a great sport. And I think if people take it serious, it could be an indoor sport. The arena experience in St. Louis was awesome. Now, the good thing is if you have 1,000 people in a 12,000, or the bad thing is you have 1,000 people in a 12,000 arena, it feels fairly empty, but there's still a lot of people there, and it was loud.
Yeah.
But I can imagine one day, I was sitting there and I said, someday this thing's going to be full. There'll be 12,000 people in here watching this sport, and it'll be amazing. And I believe it. I mean, I really think that we could get to that arena. This is a little bit different experience. This is still a festival where we have a 2,000 person arena with courts to play amateurs on, and so it's a cool deal. I mean, just to come see the place, it's seeing you're seeing the future there. So it's neat. I'm excited. I'm excited to show everybody. And the Pickler Universe has been an incredible partner. They've been great partners to deal with. So I can't say enough great things about them.
Well, we're super excited to welcome everybody to that venue this weekend and watch the Dallas Flash play in their hometown market. Mark, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks. That was great. Thank you.